Thank you guys for watching the Animal One Guys YouTube channel. If you like my content, leave a comment down below. Ask me questions, let me know what you liked about it. And hey, click on the little like button. But please, if you want, go ahead and subscribe, because it helps my channel out. That way you can stay up to date with all my videos. And if you want, click on the bell icon to get notified. Right? Right? Huh? 1 out of 2. Not bad. Hey there, Reptile Rescue family. So today's video, as you see in the title, although it's going to have the baby savannas in it, is not going to be specifically related to baby savanna monitors or savanna monitors or even just lizards. It's more of reptiles in general, but this can cover amphibians, it can cover snakes, turtles, and lizards. And we're going to talk about stunting and power feeding. And specifically, I have been raising these savanna monitors slightly different to talk about this. And we're going to get into some misconceptions and confusions related on both of these topics. What causes them, how to fix them, how to prevent them, and so on. But so let's start with stunting. So, and guys, I'm not going to talk about this in a super high level. So if you're super high level, I'm doing this for the masses. Okay. So terminology will be more basic, but the overall theme will be there so everyone can understand. But stunting is basically you're doing something, the reptile's correct growth has been inhibited. And the confusion people say is, oh, well, they're stunted because their enclosure is too small. Incorrect. Well, they didn't have a correct UVB light. That's incorrect. So stunting is solely caused on not providing enough nutrition through food for the reptile to grow correctly. But wait, what does the incorrect UVB light do? Okay, now these things come together, right, which could help cause problems, but potentially with incorrect UVB lighting, you could get MBD, you could have calcium deficiencies due to low D3 levels, you could have bones develop. The bones still develop, but they develop incorrectly. They don't form the same. Like think about if they're supposed to be straight, they could form curled, etc. And that's actually the same thing with a enclosure that is too small. If you are feeding your reptile correctly or overfeeding, we'll get to that later, known as power feeding. If you are doing that, but the enclosure is too small, the reptile's body will not stop growing. Where are you going? You're going to go under there? That's where your brother's already at. The reptile's body will not stop growing correctly, but it will force to be formed wrong, because think about, wearing too small of shoes. Your feet are still growing, but the toes are going to be all curled under and everything like that. So when you have that enclosure that's too small, their bones, their arms may be curved instead of being straight because they haven't been able to straight. Their tail may have permanent kinks in it because it was forced to be like that when it was growing instead of straight and everything. So you can cause bones to fuse together, grow curled. They could put fat globs in areas where they're not supposed to be. And we're going to get them both out in a second, just so you can show you. So that's the stunting part. The power feeding part is due to overfeeding. And it's very easy to do in reptiles that are food motivated or reptiles that store food in their gullet before feeding. Typically with snakes, it's done to make yourself have a really big looking snake. How is that done? Well, they'll feed the snake something that's considered the biggest the snake could eat. And as that snake is swallowing it down, they follow it with another rat, bunny, whatever. And so the snake eats it like it's one thing. And then it has just way too much food. It turns into a lot of fat. They could also be feeding higher fattening foods. And so you're getting something bigger. Now, Ooh, I hit that and I heard a little hiss in there. That is probably what's happened is one guy has stepped on the other guy, making him angry. We're not going to turn the flash on because we'll get in there in a second. But you can feed a lot and you can feed often, and it is not power feeding. Power feeding is really that overfeeding. Once they're full, taking it to the next level. When they're growing, this can be harder to do because they are using the food more quickly than when they're full size, and they are processing and they're not storing fat, but still a good time for them to have that big look. So the two Savannah monitors I'm about to bring out over here, and they may run around, they may be mad. I've got little bits of chicken with a little bit of calcium powder on it to offer them. And I want to show you two, not extremes, and this is not power feeding and this is not stunting, but this is the end of me doing this. I did this for 3 weeks because I wanted to show the difference in a healthy look. So the darker blue Savannah monitor, I have been feeding a little less food to. Still fully supplemented, still feeds just as many times a day, but whereas the other one I may feed 4 small dubia roaches to, the smaller one I will feed 2 dubia roaches to. So he's still getting full, he's still getting all the nutrients, he's still super healthy. And the lighter skinned one I've been putting on the max end of healthy, feeding the 4 small dubias when I feed, things like that. So again, they're both, let's say 2 to 4 is the healthy range. One's been getting 2, one's been getting 4. So no one is power fed, no one is underfed, because I didn't want them to be sick, but this is the best time to show how stunting can occur and how power feeding can occur. Because what you're going to see, remember, these are the same age that eat the same number of times a day, that eat the same days, spoiler, every day, 2 to 3 meals every day, but one is just getting slightly less food, 1 to 2 roaches less a meal. And I want you to see how different they look. So imagine if you did this to the extreme, we would have a power fed versus a stunted. So, but this is my way of showing you healthy, which is really important. All right, so let's just uncover and see what we see. Here they are, curled up. I knew one would be on the other. You can see there's a drastic size difference. They're all curled up because, you know, they were in the back of the rounded piece there. But look at the size difference. Look at the head difference. Look at the body difference. There's a length of a tail difference. He's not stunted. You saw him when he was out. Could you straighten up? I know you were curled because you were in there. And we're going to get you guys moving for some chicken here in a second. Look what Daddy's got. Oh, hello. Look at the size of this head. Very big. I would like for you to eat it on this heat mat so we get less dirt on it and it's easier for me to clean. Okay, that goes down in 2 seconds. And we'll talk about that. Now, what about you? Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I did a 360 trying to, yeah, come on. Oh yeah. There we go. Oh, you dropped it. That's all right. Look at this size difference and height difference, the head difference, the body difference, the hand difference. Wanted to get you guys over here, but I guess as long as you guys are next to each other, no big deal. One's head is much more blocky, much larger. One is still thinner and much smaller. They're the same age. They're eating the same, but look how much smaller this guy looks. Just because he's eating slightly less per meal. Look at his body, how skinny it looks. Come here. You ripped off that piece of chicken. Oh, he's coming over here. Look at that compared to this. It's a big size difference. And that's just from controlling the food slightly to make a difference. Now, both are in the healthy weight. Let's say that, I don't know, I haven't weighed them this week. I weigh them at the end of the week. But let's say the healthy weight was between 50 to 80 grams. Well, this one would be at 80 and this one would be at 50. So within the healthy range, yes. But this body, This tail is much smaller than that. Look at them go by each other. Look at that size difference. Now, a little bloated because we just shoved, pieces of chicken in each of them. Sure, true. But I just wanted to show off the difference in if this was done to the extreme, where one was being way overfed, power feeding, and if one was being way underfed or undersupplemented, stunting. You've got it on the side of your head. All right, and this, so I was using savannas, but I know people who have snakes and bearded dragons. They're like, oh, I don't want to feed my bearded dragon too much. I don't want to feed him too little. There's the key here. Snake should be feeding them one thing, but reptiles, when they eat, their gullet, the big lizards, they tend to store food in their gullet, right? Because they're scavengers in the wild, and they need to know that it's safe for them to eat. So a lot of times they'll store food in their gullet, go to a safe area, and then swallow. Well, if when they have food in their gullet, it becomes unsafe, it's easy for them to spit up. So as pet owners, it's easy for us to feed because they don't feel full yet. And think of like a human. We don't have as much room to do this, but you see people with like fat cheeks, as you're shoving food or drinks in your mouth. If you put all this food in your mouth, if you feel hungry, if your stomach is growling and you're hungry, and you shove all this food into your mouth, lots of food, but you haven't swallowed it yet, your stomach is still going to feel hungry. And that's what it is with reptiles. And that's why it's really easy. You can overfeed because you can fill up those gullets, and that's too much food. And then they swallow it down and they're fat. It can happen. Hopefully you guys have watched this video. If you have ever taken in or dealt with or seen at a pet store an underfed or an overfed, just give me your power feeding and your stunting experiences. Any other ways, guys, you can just take a second to say hi in the comments and like the video. YouTube really appreciates it. Take care, everybody. Thank you guys for supporting my reptile rescue family.